So for my long-term service, I volunteer at High Point Elementary. In this month's reflection, I did basically the same thing. I worked with Savannah on her math homework, or not necessarily homework, but just helped her with math. And then I worked on various counting activities with Miss Glasgow students. The goals that I set up in the last experience, I wanted to work with a group of students. Um, this round of experience, I work with two students, as opposed to my normal one student, one and done, on to the next one. Um, it wasn't harder and it wasn't easier. It was kind of the same, I think. Then again, the two students that I had were relatively good students. Um, they listened really well, and they were both pretty okay on their counting abilities. Um, but yeah, that I accomplished that goal. Um, I don't think I set up another goal. Um, but going forward, I don't I don't necessarily know any goals that I could set up because I've already done what a volunteer does, coach the students, and it's not like I could teach the whole class because then I'd be a teacher and Miss Glasgow's the teacher. Um, so I'm pretty content on what I'm doing. I believe that it's really helping the students. Each time I go, they seem to be more and more, more. They seem to be better and better at what I've been working on them with. So that makes me really proud. Um, CAS elements evolved. In this round of reflections, I identified my own strengths. I saw that I was good at working with one student, so I asked Miss Glasgow if it'd be okay if I worked with two students, and she said yes. And uh, I saw that if I could work with one student, then I feel like it would be the same working with two students, and I was right. Um, I demonstrated a new challenge because working with one student is, a challenge in itself because you have to make sure that they're paying attention, and not only are they paying attention, but are they understanding. And you also have to make sure that you're not telling them what to do, you're kind of letting them figure it out. So phrasing your words in a way that not only do they understand it, but that they're answering it on their own is, I feel like, one of the most difficult parts for me. Um, thirdly, I um I demonstrated skills, and I recognize the benefits of working collaboratively. Um, I saw, that my skill was increasing as I worked with more students, um, so that I'm skilled enough to where working with two students is no issue with me. Um, working collaboratively, working with students is such a pleasure. Um, their their faces when they get an answer right is just priceless. Um, seeing that confidence instilled in them is just one of the most amazing things. Um, I engage with issues of social or global significance. Um, education is not only important, but it's required um, to be successful in the world. Um, so for me to create the foundation and the building blocks for these students, um, so they can go on to their life later on, is just something so amazing to me that I love doing it. Yes, sometimes it gets a little boring, doing the same thing, but the fact that I'm helping these students be successful later in their life is just truly amazing to me, and you can't you can't, there's nothing that makes me feel that way. Um, yes, that's it for the CAS elements. As for CAS and TOK, um, hmm, hmm. I use my personal knowledge to share it to the students. My personal knowledge being that of counting numbers 1 through 20 and um, things like that, and I shared that onto them so that they could do it themselves. Um, Also speaking on share knowledge, I have never, or not necessarily never, I haven't worked on first graders' work in 10 years, so I don't exactly remember, because the math itself isn't challenging, of course, because it's first grader math, but the directions of the workbooks that they have are kind of difficult for me to understand, because they're kind of confusing, and so Mrs. Burrell, she explained to me what to do, and she shared her knowledge with me. Relationships being established with peers. Not necessarily. I think more so relationships established between me and the students. Especially Savannah, like I said in the last, especially with Savannah, who I work with every Wednesday. Um, she has trouble understanding the directions as well, and so I feel like she kind of trusts me because, of course, I'm older and wiser. Um, so I feel like she kind of looks up to me for direction and whatnot. And she's just a really sweet girl. Um, success, Successes of this reflection area. I believe that um, being able to work with more than one student was accomplished. I'd like to keep that going. Um, I'm very happy that I got to work with more than one student. It kind of adds a new dynamic. Challenges. Um, Trying to get to volunteering. I didn't get my car until like 3 weeks ago, so it was kind of hard to make arrangements for me to get to volunteering, and also things came up, meetings and such. So, oh, and Thanksgiving break, since I'm also uh, going to school, volunteering at a school, our breaks are the same, and stuff like that. So, challenges were just trying to get to the school itself. Um, and also today I was having a really hard time understanding the directions um, for one of the assignments that Mrs. Burrell wanted me to work with Savannah on, and it was just kind of annoying because I should understand that, but if I can't understand it, then how is the student gonna understand it? Um, Aspects to improve. I think understanding directions, honestly. Other than that, it's pretty rudimentary. You know, Achievement of goals, like I stated. If there's new goals to be made, I don't I'm not unsatisfied with what I'm doing, but I don't think there's goals for me to necessarily make because I've already, like I said, I've already done what I could. Um, Changes in perspective. I still have a deep respect for teachers. I think they're completely discredited and underappreciated. And it makes me sad. And Mrs. Glasgow and Mrs. Burrell are really nice women. Um, Mrs. Glasgow is a family friend just because she loved my sister so much and she wanted to, remain in contact with my mom. And she's honestly the reason why I have this volunteering experience. Other than that, I'd have no tie to the school. And she's just a really sweet lady. What did I learn? I learned that working with multiple students is not as difficult as I thought it would be. Taking into considerations the students that I worked with, and since I only worked with two, maybe it'll be different, because each student is different, and if I work with like 3 or 4, then maybe it'll be more difficult. Um, Changes in myself. Um, as for my abilities, I can now work with multiple kindergartners and not have an issue with it. Um, Ways that I may continue to grow. Who knows? Maybe eventually Miss Glasgow will have me like work on a section with the class. I mean, I don't foresee that happening anytime soon, but either that or maybe she'll let me coach the students on a new lesson that some of them don't necessarily understand. Because right now I've just been working on math and things like that. Um, how can I apply what I've learned in other life situations? I can use this experience when uh, being a leader for a group. For example, GSA. I'm not going to be teaching them, first grade math, but I can use this leadership experience that I'm getting from, leading a group of students into the right direction. Um, can I plan further actions? I mean, maybe if I become a teacher, I can use this classroom experience. Um, will what I have learned affect my future? It may affect my future. Like I said, if I become a teacher, I'll have some classroom experience. But if I don't, then um, I don't necessarily learn things as for like knowledge, but I do learn life experience.